Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Oldish TV. As always, I'm your host. My name is Karen, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here, particularly if you're a new viewer. We're happy to have you. I hope you find the content to be interesting, and if you like it, hit that like button, and you'll get notified whenever we're doing a Facebook Live, which is every Wednesday at 12 noon. Today, I want to talk with you about anxiety. Some of you may know of a singer whose name is Jewel. Now, she is a Grammy-nominated singer. She has sold over 30 million albums worldwide. I recently learned an awful lot more about her. She's 46 years old, but my goodness, what a life she has led. She was raised in Alaska. Her parents were divorced when she was 8 years old, and she ended up living with her father when her mother decided that mothering was no longer something she really wanted to do. Although she did maintain a relationship with her mother, hitchhiking 200 miles to go and visit her now and then. In Alaska, at the age of 10, can you believe it? 10 years old. She lived in a house with no indoor plumbing, no water, and a father who increasingly drank and became abusive. So at the age of 15, she left home. At times, she was homeless. She lived in her car. Her car was stolen. She faced mountains that would break a lesser person. That's for darn sure. Music has always been part of her life, and as she tells it, if you can handle bar patrons in an Alaskan bar, you can handle people anywhere. She is really interesting, and clearly she has, throughout her life, gained a lot of inspiration for her music. She has turned some of that inspiration outward through philanthropic efforts as well. And the one I want to talk to you about is the one that she's been talking about more recently. It's called Never Broken. Now, you can find out more about that particular philanthropic organization through jewelneverbroken.com. I believe that's the address. A large part of this organization, their work, focuses on mindfulness. I'm going to get to anxiety. Just stick with me through this because I want to explain this to you. Mindfulness is defined as the practice of purposely bringing one's attention to experiences occurring in the present moment without judgment. That's a really hard thing to do, but it is something that Jewel learned how to do when she was homeless, when she was being robbed, when she was living on the streets, when she was performing in bars with really tough crowds. She would learn to filter out all the noise and focus on the moment. She didn't know at the time that it was called mindfulness, but along the way she developed techniques that worked for her. And she now shares those with young adults who are at risk. Practicing mindfulness through meditation or some other means is thought to have a direct impact on physical health. Focusing on giving a thought energy, not positive energy or negative energy, just energy. So if you practice mindfulness, the hope is that you stave off the negative energy and you deal only with positive energy, but the universe, I am told, does not understand positive from negative. It's just energy. So if you put that energy out there, that's what's accepted by the universe. There are some who believe that if you focus enough energy on something, you can actually manifest it, or at least set the universe up to encourage its path. We've done shows on vision boards. Praying is mindfulness. Meditation is training and awareness to achieve a clear and emotionally calm state of mind. People who are runners will often tell you that they hit that Zen moment while they're running, and others who do various forms of exercise will tell you the same kind of thing. Have you got it then? The basis is getting rid of negativity and existing in the moment. Not the moment that has passed and reliving it and playing the what if game. What if I'd said this or done that? Would it have changed the outcome? How many of you actually relive conversations? I know I used to do this, but I've trained myself out of doing it because it it's not really very helpful. But you think about a conversation that you had yesterday or the day before, and you insert things that you wish you had said but didn't think of saying at the moment, or statements that you maybe could make a little stronger that you didn't make so strong in the moment, and you just have that conversation over and over and over again in your mind or out loud if nobody else is around. But in doing so, if you do this, you can conjure up those same feelings that you had when you had that original conversation. Your blood can boil. That's not good for you. You're manifesting those feelings by giving energy to that conversation. Understand? That same energy, many doctors will tell you that a positive state of mind is essential to healing, to cancer treatment, to recovery, and so on. I have a dear friend who has just successfully finished cancer treatments, and she's a very analytical, sciencey type of person, and she would spend much of her time while she was in treatment calculating odds. What if I take this medication instead of that medication? The doctor's recommending this. If I do this instead of this other thing that I read about, what's the prognosis? What are the odds? And I kept telling her, stop it, because you're putting energy on something. It's like you're praying for it to happen. She kind of blew me off until a couple months ago, I guess. She was finished treatment, but she went for a follow-up appointment to a doctor. And when she got back, she messaged me to say, darn you, I guess the doctor had said a similar thing. A positive state of mind matters, and thinking negatively is not helpful at all. So back to Jewel. And here's what I want you to understand before we go a bit further. Jewel is not a doctor. I am not a doctor. As with anything like this, anxiety is on a spectrum. Some people feel less, some people feel more. And if there are people who feel more and they're taking medications or they're in treatment or therapy of some kind, this is not what we're talking about today. Absolutely not what we're talking about, and you should not be stopping doing those things based on what Jewel says or what I'm relating to you. We're talking about things on the lesser end of the scale, things that we're able to manifest ourselves, and things that I think I can relate to a little better in terms of what she said, and I hope you'll be able to relate to as well. In the interview I heard with her, she talked about her Never Broken Foundation and the work it does, and when she touched on anxiety, it made me think of the whole energy thing and how we give energy to things that we really don't want. And the analogy she used was that if you eat something and it makes you feel sick, your stomach feels sick, you throw up, you have diarrhea, whatever happens, that's your body's way of saying that food was not good for you. Don't do that again. Here's the thing. Some people will keep on eating that food because they like that food and are prepared to deal with the consequences. Some people want to ignore the fact that that consequence is there. Jewel said anxiety is kind of the same. In her experience, it is your body's way of telling you that whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever you're doing, it's not good for you. The thing is that people generally don't want to give stuff up. They'd rather cope with the fallout, which in this case is anxiety. You understand? We could also work through it to reduce or eliminate the anxiety. So essentially desensitizing ourselves to it. And the best way I think that I can describe that to you is by talking about a dog guide puppy. Now, those of you who have watched the show for a while know that I have a daughter who has fostered puppies for the Lions Foundation Dog Guide. She's fostered 13 of them. And they stay with the foster families until they're old enough to go back to the center and be trained as seeing eye dogs, hearing ear dogs, autism assistance dogs. They run 7 different programs. But while they're with the foster families, there are also lessons that they have to learn. And largely it's exposure to all kinds of things. Dog guides are not allowed to be afraid of stuff. Quite literally, they will have somebody's life in their hands when they go out as a fully licensed working dog. So for them to be afraid of something is not okay. It puts their handler's life at risk. So one day there was a puppy. Well, they were always with me, but this one incident in particular, there was this pup with me. She was, I don't know, 6 or 8 months old at the time. And I was living in my house then, and she went to the front of the house, up into the front hall to the front door. And for some reason, she got spooked. So I went to see what the problem was. I wish I still had it to show you. You'd laugh yourself silly. It was a planter about this big with an owl's face on it and some greenery in the top. So it was a face. And she was spooked by this face, and she wouldn't go past it. She wouldn't go near it. She didn't want anything to do with it. So, as is the case with foster puppies from dog guides, the world stops. So I got this planter and I put it on the floor and encouraged her to come to it. Come and see it, called her by name, come and see it. I was petting the thing and hugging the thing and touching it. And I had a dog at that time who came down the hall and wondered what was going on. But I was sitting on the floor, so that was kind of fun. And, I think that actually helped the dog guide puppy see that, if this dog's not afraid of it, why am I afraid of it? But it took her 20 minutes. 20 minutes until she finally got close enough to this owl face planter and touched it with her nose and sniffed it. That was all I wanted. She doesn't have to love it. She doesn't have to make friends with it. She just has to not be afraid of it. So I left it on the floor and went on with my day. And as the day progressed, several times she went up to that owl planter and checked it out, sniffed it, played with it, walked around it. So eventually I put it back up on the table where it had been, and then she would go past the table and look at the planter and, all was right with the world. We can do that same sort of thing for ourselves, desensitizing, if we choose to. My biggest anxiety producer is heights. I'm terrified of heights. I'll go in an airplane, I won't sit by the window, but that's almost too high to even understand the concept of height. You will never catch me on the CN Tower edge walk or the ledge in Chicago. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the edge walk around the CN Tower is very high, and they've got this glass edged walkway around the outside of one of the tallest portions of the tower. And people get themselves all suited up in these outfits that have cords attached to them, and they latch onto the building, and you can go up to this edge walk and go right to the railing and lean back. Not me. This girl is not doing that. The same deal with the place in Chicago, the ledge. It's a glass floored section on the exterior of a very high building in Chicago. Not doing that. Just not doing it. So, why would I do that if it produces anxiety? I'm not going to do it. I just stay away from that stuff. I don't like standing on a chair to change a light bulb, but light bulbs have to be changed. So, I can suck it up and do that. I don't like it, but I can do it. I'm not doing the edge walk. Anyway, there are some things in life that some of you are dealing with that cannot be changed. As I said, those of you who are taking medication and doing therapy. But here's what I will say about that. For those of you who have watched the show for a while, you will know that I am big into fall prevention. Anytime you can take a medication away from your body, you are reducing the opportunity for falls. Don't take medication away from your body without consulting with your doctor. But the fewer medications you can take, the better off you are. Anytime you can focus on being kinder to yourself, that's a good thing. Participating in the here and now and not beating yourself up for what happened in the past or pacing the floors about what may happen in the days ahead, that's a good thing if you can train yourself not to do that. So in this day and age of COVID, the pandemic, it is raising a lot of anxieties in a lot of us. You know, there might be time for some of us to work on ourselves a little bit and give ourselves some grace. So to the extent that you are able to do that, to the extent that you are able to work on things that are anxiety producing for you and just remove that bit of stress out of your life, that would be amazing. So I will leave you with that. Please do join us next Wednesday at 12 noon. We'll talk about something else entirely different. And until then, please do remember to take care of yourselves. And also remember that it does take a village to age a senior. Bye, everybody.